Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2 3.
KUAM News HotSpot is brought to you by
Pacific Points, Do More, Get More, and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Hey everybody, you are watching KUAM's The Hotspot and not football. And you know what? I'm glad, because that means I get to talk to you, and I really look forward to this time each and every weekday at 11 a.m. I'm Jason Salas, and all of us here at the KUAM crew wish you a happy Monday. Let's get this done.
The menu, brought to you by King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and Ruby Tuesday Guam, home of the Fresh Garden Bar.
Today on your show of shows, a man who pleaded guilty to aggravated assault will have to wait until the end of the year for sentencing. The captains of the Salvation Army Guam chapter are sharing their personal stories of recovery. 18th annual LifeWorks Guam Out of the Darkness Our Community Walks event is coming up. We will talk to you from some of the volunteers there. And there are rainy days ahead. Landon is making his weekly appearance, and he will tell us what Mother Nature has in store for us. But in international headlines, Hurricane Fiona struck Puerto Rico's southwest coast on Sunday, unleashing landslides, knocking out power and ripping up asphalt from roads and flinging the pieces around. Forecasters said the storm would cause massive flooding and threatening to dump historic levels of rain within almost 3 feet possible in eastern and southern parts of the island. The storm also washed away a bridge in the central mountain town that police say was installed by the National Guard after Hurricane Maria in 2017. A local resident captured the moment the bridge was being swept away by fast-moving waters. The intense rainfall continues in the area. Back here on the island, he shot a man that owed him $700 in a game of darts. Justin Duenas was sentenced before Superior Court Judge Vern Perez on Friday, but he'll have to wait till the end of the year to learn of his fate. The parties are waiting to find out first if co-actor Jensen DeVellis' case will go to trial or if he will take a plea agreement. Duenas is set to appear in court in December. The shooting occurred at a home on Tranquilo Court up in Dedido last August. The victim told police the pair walked into the home armed with guns before fighting. Duenas then shot the victim in the chest, with Duenas having since pleaded guilty to aggravated assault, along with a special allegation of use of a deadly weapon. Well, meth on the island is a drug that's brought a spike in criminal cases into local court over the past year, and multiple steps have been taken to help many kick their addiction. Here's a story about recovery.
Hector Acosta wears his uniform proudly, a once U.S. Army veteran recalling his career before he ever expected to call Guam home.
Then I went to corporate America and I helped, build businesses for people.
A career change making him the life of the party.
I was hosting other business owners, captains of industry, people that we were kind of trying to connect with. So I would take them out drinking, I would take them out partying, and I got caught up in the whole kind of net of that.
Caught picking up bad habits.
Cocaine, marijuana, alcohol, the abuse of alcohol, of course. And I think that in my most successful, quote-unquote, period in the industry where I was climbing to ownership, I hit this very severe depression because I realized that I hit the top of what I was shooting for and I climbed the wrong mountain.
He was on a high, but his climb quickly came crumbling down.
I was destroying my marriage. I was not available for my kids, so I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good father, which was the goal, the point of everything. So I said that was my priority, but I wasn't living that out. So it crushed me. It crushed me and took me into depression.
Acosta hitting his rock bottom. It triggered him to get help. His wife Yasmin Acosta there to witness it all.
He found help, and I found help in the supportive family services as he started his journey in recovery.
The journey was for them both. The Acostas ultimately finding an avenue to restore their family.
It's been a life journey, I think, that's kind of led us to Salvation Army. We came from recovery, and we've experienced a lot of loss and trauma and found a place of healing.
The couple, now captains with the Salvation Army Guam, they arrived to the island over the summer, ready to share their experience and help others.
We know how valuable it is to have an opportunity for restoration, to have an opportunity to heal and break free, really, of the bondage that is addiction. We are personally involved in this. A couple times a week, I come pick up the guys who are in the program, and we do work therapy together. We go and do some labor together. We go and help somebody in the community. We work through heart issues. You know, because I'm a pastor, that involves sometimes the Bible, but really it's about asking questions that are philosophical in nature, right? That we're all going to face. And so working through that is what helped me, and that's what I'm doing in return to help others that are in it. So it's that relationship, and I can guarantee that the relationships I'm building here are going to be for life.
And a lifetime of helping others to kick their addictions.
Well, President Joe Biden and the First Lady are in London paying their respects to the late Queen Elizabeth II. The Bidens are among hundreds of world leaders and dignitaries who will attend the monarch's grand state funeral tomorrow morning.
President Joe Biden placed his hand on his heart as he and the First Lady paid their respects to Queen Elizabeth II at Westminster Hall. Later, the first couple signed a condolence book.
To all the people of England, all the people of the United Kingdom, our hearts go out to you, and you were fortunate to have had her for 70 years. We all were. The world's better for her.
Mr. Biden is just one of 13 U.S. presidents the Queen met during her 70-year reign.
She was the same in person as her image. Decent, honorable, and all about service.
The Bidens then joined King Charles III and dozens of other kings, queens, and heads of state at a reception at Buckingham Palace.
President Biden is among 500 world leaders and dignitaries attending the Queen's funeral. Now, the largest, most complex security operation in London's history is underway to keep everyone safe.
More than 10,000 police and security personnel have been patrolling the city. Members of the armed forces and volunteer marshals will join them on duty for Monday's funeral.
We've got help from every force across the country and indeed from some forces further afield.
At least 1 million people are expected to take to the streets to watch the funeral procession. And many thousands are waiting in line overnight for the final chance to file past the Queen's coffin before the doors close early tomorrow morning. Others placed flowers outside the Queen's residences, including Windsor Castle.
We felt it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and also the last time we can pay our respects to the Queen.
It's a chance to participate in history while honoring the only monarch many have ever known. Terry Okita, CBS News, London.
It's time, of course, being Monday, time for your weekly question. And this week's topic is, you can, of course, post your responses on our Facebook and our Instagram feeds. We're at KUAM News. Do you think, dear friends, enough is being done to address deteriorating, that's a good word, school facilities, and certainly apropos, unfortunately. So if you believe enough is being done or enough is not being done to address deteriorating school facilities, we want to know your thoughts. Sound off. Once again, Facebook and Instagram. Well, before we head into a break, it's time for News Bites, where we give you a lightning round of what's going on around the island. Cars Plus president and owner Joey Crisostomo will be honored as the Guam Chamber of Commerce's 2022 individual laureate. He'll be inducted into the Guam Business Hall of Fame during the Chamber's 98th anniversary. That's coming up later this month. Congratulations, Joey. 2 visiting scholars from Taiwan are offering Mandarin language courses during their 2 years at UOG through the Taiwan Bilingual Exchanges of Selected Talent program. 2 scholars are the 2 first visiting scholars at UOG under the new exchange initiative. And Fred Schumann, who holds a doctorate in Asia-Pacific Studies and has held various academic and managerial roles at UOG's School of Business and Public Administration for decades, is the new dean. He's actually going to join me. See, that's a nice segue. He's going to join me later on in the show to talk about his vision. Hagan Famalawan Guahan offered nearly $30,000 worth of tuition fees as a stepping stone to assist families interested in enrolling their kids in the Chief Harao Neni Academy for the next school year. All right, please stay tuned. There is much more HotSpot, and coming up next, this weekend's Out of the Darkness, our community walks candlelight memorial service. That's next.
Dance party.
Let's go.
When inspiration strikes,
Say yes with the new Priority Unlimited credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Wherever you shop, whatever you're shopping for, you can earn 2% cash back on everything you buy. From small stuff to big stuff to stuff you want. A card that rewards you for every purchase and helps you stay connected to everything that matters.
Half a day. I'm Kelina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The Governor's Child Care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the Governor's Child Care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
With Pacific Points, your everyday expenses could be helping you save. Earn points at Shell, Foodies Guam, and IT&E. Then redeem for awesome rewards. Want free fuel from Shell or snacks from Foodies Guam? What about discounts on your IT&E bill, free IT&E prepaid cards, or United Mileage Plus miles? Sign up for free today. Visit PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world, tips to take care of your health and your wallet, and up-to-the-minute local news. NBC News Daily, weekdays on NBC.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote Archimoto culture on The Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platform and the KUAM News Weekend Edition. Brought to you by Tropical Ice.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
KUAM News, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Culture Club.
Welcome back, everybody, to KUAM News Hotspot. On Saturday, September the 24th, the 18th annual LifeWorks Guam Out of Our Darkness, Our Community Walks event is going to be held over in Tamuning at the St. Anthony's School Gym. Joining me now are three friends of mine, people I've interviewed about this topic several times over the years. Rainbows for All Children and LifeWorks Guam Executive Director Marie Halloran. Half a day, Marie.
Half a day.
Very nice to see you. Someone who I was just saying I have not seen in many, many years, but we, of course, welcome back to our Harmon Studios, Arlene Ada and Roland Ada. Of course, Roro, always welcome here. You got your own space on the couches. Right. That's already reserved for you, bro. So thank you guys for coming in and talking about this now, because I know, what we've gone through as a society, as a community, and as individuals and everything like that. Is there any event which is like more necessary right now, especially with the tense times as this event, Marie? So maybe give us some context and everything like that. Who is this event for and how did it come to be?
Okay. The early times I was doing Rainbows for All Children, and then a lot of our children have suffered from suicide. I mean, their relatives have. So what I did, there was no program available on the island at that time because they were more focusing on drugs and alcohol. So I went on a training in New Finland and got trained by the founders of Living Works. I got trained in Assist, and then when I came back, I brought the program here, and we started. I was more comfortable really dealing with suicide because suicide is such a harsh word, and it's very difficult. So you really have to put your thoughts and mind and take away your attitude and behavior towards it. So upon teaching that, there's this thing that's empathy and compassion, and it's a gift that I think that God has given me and Arlene and everybody else. So in the beginning, the global death of suicide is about 1 million a year. But now, last year, it has gone down, which is very good. 2021, globally, it has gone down to 700,000. So we're doing something good. And on Guam, it has also lowered. Not a bit, I mean, but still, it's better to have one is too many.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what we have been doing is September is Suicide Awareness Month. So LifeWorks Guam has been going to the schools and training, suicide awareness in senior and junior or middle school level. So it has been, we have been very progressive and not like reactive, but we're trying to be more preventive, so that children, even children as young as kindergarten, I would teach them and they would know what to do. So being said, sharing that with you, and again on Guam, it's still one of the highest incidents, even though it has dropped, it's still. So there are things that we can do to help, and we can reach out, because they had done a research that most of the people that have completed suicide, really it's the pain that they're feeling. They cannot get out of that pain. It seems like there's such a dark tunnel that there's no way out to deal with that poignant pain. So our deal is, if we see our friends or family member that have changed in attitude and behavior, then it's okay to ask. I've noticed that you look like you're hurting, and is there anything that you want me to share with me? Well, in fact, I try to do it in my home. And my son was at that time at FD. He was just a freshman. And I could see that his behavior is changing. So I would ask him, John, are you okay? Mom, I'm okay. And then 3 times I've asked him, so John, I've noticed recently that, you're not the same. You know what he told me? Mom, I'm not your rainbow kid, so I'm okay. You understand? I'm okay. But sometimes we just want to make sure. It's better to be cautious than to be sorry. So there has been a lot of people calling up and sharing with us that, they have tried everything. And I think your listening skills, just like yourself, being a reporter or, something on TV, your listening ear is so important, because if they know you're not listening to them, then you're not engaging. Then they will not really tell you what to do.
Well, I know two wonderful members of our community are Arlene and Rollin, who, you're bearing these pictures right now to honor people right now. So Arlene, I know this has been a cause which unfortunately you've had to deal with directly and everything, but you're actually using the experience to reach out to others and help others who might be going through this. So maybe kind of like explain why you're here today too.
Okay, so in 2009, my nephew attempted suicide. By the grace of God, he did not complete it. Unfortunately, he is now legally blind, and he has to have 24/7 care, but he is still with us, so that was in 2009, and that really devastated us. And then 2017, my brother took his life, and he's our youngest in our family, and a family of 17, and the baby goes. So it was very difficult, because we grew up, the old-fashioned way, right? Buck up, right? Yep. You gotta just keep going and all, just be very independent. And it was a very hard lesson for us to learn, because, we all wanted him to be something, but we never stopped to ask what he wanted to be. And so, you know, the pressures of, you know, like, come on, you know, you got to do it this way, come on, you know. And it was more the reason why we wanted him to do it this way, because it was an inconvenience to us, you know, that we always had to do this for him. We always had to do that for him, you know. It's like, man, you know, you're how old and we got to keep doing this. But, you know, that was a really hard lesson for us because, you know, that taught us we have to listen, you know.
Like Marie was saying, those could have been some of the early
those
signs.
could have, those could have been the early signs.
And this is a message that you now pass on to members of the community.
Yes, and I tell people that, you know, I said, you know, unfortunately for my family, it was a hard lesson because he was in so much pain. And I look at all of us hurting, you know, and I say, look at all of us, you know, there's, you know, all of the siblings that are left behind. Whatever pain you feel, if we put all of our pain in a room, it'll overflow. And that's what he was carrying. So, you know, just to kind of make it so that they can have some kind of visual of what he was going through, you know, that's what I tell them. I said, we're all hurting because we didn't stop to talk to him and say, hey, you know, what is it that you want? And how can we get you there so that you can be happy? Because we were just saying, I want you here because it makes me happy because I don't have to worry about you, you know, but we never stopped to ask him, you know, hey, what is it that you want that would make you happy and how can we get you there? And, you know, that way he wouldn't have to feel like such a burden to us because that's basically what we made him feel like, you know, and he wouldn't feel like he was imposing and every time he needed something, you know, it was just like he was taught to just constantly ask because we would give it, but we would complain and we would, you know, basically hand down the scolding, right? We never stopped to ask, you know, how can we make this better?
You know, but
well, if I can, Marie, if I can ask Roro real quick, is, you know, with your experience in the Army, and if I may, you know, you were a combat medic, right? So your training is to treat people and to have compassion and to fight for those who can't fight for themselves, you know, to stand up for the little guy, you know, when they need it the most and everything. And so I would say this new mission that you've now like adopted in life probably is an extension of that, right? So what message do you want to give out to the community?
Yes. Yeah, even with my career in the military as a medic, yes, and that's why I do what I do a lot now, especially for the community, is because I want to get back to our island, and that's just how I've always been. Growing up, even my mom taught us all the time that, you know, there are people less fortunate and they need help. So doing this suicide prevention thing is also affects the veterans as well. So I mean, so this is something that I've been trying to work with different organizations as well on how to spot someone who's got some suicidal ideation or help them how to figure out, you know, what can we do to help them. And on the veteran side, I mean, this is, I know it's for the children, but on the veteran side, there is groups out there that do help veterans who have a hard time dealing with certain things to the point where they're thinking or contemplating suicide. Because at one point in time, yes, it is a real thing. I've experienced it myself. I've experienced having the suicidal ideations and stuff like that, and that was a very, very dark place for me, and it's a place I don't ever want to go again. And so that's why I do a lot of stuff, is to keep my mind busy and to keep myself busy, so that way I'm not stuck in my thoughts and in things that I've seen or done in my military career. So with that being said, there's the GY671 group. They do a wave every 22nd of the month, because every month there's about 22 veterans that pass away to suicide. So every 22nd of the month they go down to the ITC and do a wave for suicide awareness, and that is something that I've been a part of as well. I'm trying to get out there and do more stuff with them. It's just, you know, I have a lot of hats that I wear too, so I'm always busy with that. But
well, that hat that you're wearing right now,
yes,
like break the silence. I mean, that it's a strong message that is going out there, and you know, we have basically identified this month in particular, but I mean, this is a problem that faces our island year-round, proportionally more so than the States. But that's also a message that we need to put around 365 days a year. So thank you, Arlene and Roland, for sharing. So, Marie, how can people actually sign up for this event, for Out of the Darkness Our Community Walks, and and show their solidarity for this?
Thank you for asking. So they can pre-register at Goody Sporting Goods and St. Anthony Catholic School, and also they can call us up and we'll register them. It's $5 for one, and for 5 is $20, so it gets $4 each. And I think on the day is $6 and then $20 for 4. But actually, it's not about the money, but it's because we want to encourage everybody to please come, and if you haven't suffered this situation, please comfort the others that are grieving in silence. And after this, the remembrance, the candlelight memorial service, we're going to have a raffle ticket. Somebody donated a round-trip ticket to Manila, and we're going to raffle it that day at the end of the celebration. I mean, the event. Well,
as they say, it takes a village, and in this case, it takes an entire island community to really come together and say that everybody's experience is obviously unique, but the knowledge. You can basically put that together, and healing is something that we can all do as one big island family.
Yes, together we can work at a common cause.
Absolutely.
In fact, our theme this year is creating hope through our action. So each one of us can learn a little bit or the whole thing about suicide, and then we can reach out. Don't be scared. Just be gentle and don't challenge the person at risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marie, Arlene, and Ro, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, and please stay tuned. There is much more HotSpot when we return.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
2022 race shapes up. Keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
There's epic, then there's ultra epic. Capture life in vivid resolution with Galaxy's most advanced camera system and the built-in S Pen that puts you in control. Every moment, every angle, from sunrise to sundown and beyond. More striking, more stunning than ever. Find the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra at your nearest iTunes store or online at ite.net and change the way you work and play.
Half a day. I'm Kalina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The governor's child care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the governor's child care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Dance party.
Let's go.
When inspiration strikes, say yes with the new Priority Unlimited credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Wherever you shop, whatever you're shopping for, you can earn 2% cash back on everything you buy. From small stuff to big stuff to stuff you want. A card that rewards you for every purchase and helps you stay connected to everything that matters.
With Pacific Points, your everyday expenses could be helping you save. Earn points at Shell, Foodies Guam, and ITE. Then redeem for awesome rewards. Want free fuel from Shell or snacks from Foodies Guam? What about discounts on your ITE bill, free ITE prepaid cards, or United Mileage Plus miles? Sign up for free today. Visit PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture on The Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platform and the KUAM News Weekend Edition, brought to you by Tropical Ice.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Subscribe to our KUAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KUAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KUAM Communications. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam on Demand.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Dr. Fred Schuman holds a doctorate in Asia-Pacific Studies and has held various academic and managerial roles at the University of Guam's School of Business and Public Administration, my alma mater, very, very proudly. And he is the new Dean of SPBA. He's joining me right now on the KUAM couch. Fred, I believe this is your first interview now as Dean. Please tell me
yes,
this is the first.
Yes,
okay.
This is my first.
Yeah, well,
yes.
Fred Schuman also has been a member of our business community for a very, very long time. Several of you may remember he was in charge of HR over at Pacific Islands Club for a very long time. Yes. Prior to that, he actually worked with my father over at DFS. There's a lot of good memories there because I was an 11-year-old like little squirt running around and everything, and my dad was like, that's Mr. Schuman.
That's right. And then you became a volleyball superstar after, as you grew. And
I played volleyball.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it was actually a pretty good time working with Dr. John C. Salas, my boss, and a great mentor. Man, back in those days, the company Duty Free Shoppers was owned mainly by two individuals, and one of them, Chuck Feeney, who actually started PIC. I don't know if many of our viewers know
I didn't
this.
know that.
Same individual started DFS, Duty Free Shoppers, started PIC. And this man had such a great influence on people like your father, Jerry Pears over at Duty Free Shoppers when we were there. And the focus was so much on giving back to the community, doing things for the community. And there are many people on this island that have been influenced positively by Mr. Feeney and his philosophy.
Obviously yourself too.
Yes, yes, very much. And so I'm really fortunate to be at the university where we actually follow that philosophy of serving the community. And it's such a nice place to be, and I know I have big shoes to fill. We had Dr. Anita Enriquez earlier before we had
Dr. Annette Santos, who was right here. I would actually say Dr. Annette Santos has really, really nice pumps to fill.
Right.
She looks fantastic in heels. A lovely, lovely dean. But I talked to several people. I was actually emceeing, as I was telling you earlier, the Guam Women's Club, their 70th anniversary over the weekend. I talked to several people from UOG and other people that know of this news. They were all like, they've picked the right man for the job. Dr. Annette was fantastic. Dr. Anita is fantastic. Each one of them so supportive of you because they know your track record, they know your pedigree, they know your genuine passion for doing the job, and they believe that you are going to take SPBA in the right direction. So, so given that, right, and knowing the rich history of UOG and being a part of that, and the momentum that Dr. Kreis has already set us on and everything, how do you envision SPBA moving forward, and how do you maintain that legacy?
Right. Yeah. It's like I said, there are so many initiatives from Dr. Enriquez, Dr. Santos. One of the things that I'd like to reinforce is the knowledge that we are a land grant institution. And I think this is something that maybe not everybody is aware of, but we, as a land grant institution, our mission is to serve our community, and that's not just Guam, but also our neighboring islands. And what really makes me feel good is after 14 years of teaching and spending time with students, knowing that many of our students attend UOG, not only to learn a skill or not only to earn a pretty good salary as they become management or working in leadership positions in government, but they also want to give back to the community. And I hear this so much from the students that they want to go back to their island and do things for their home, and I hear that from students here. So that's one thing I'd like to reinforce, is the fact that that's our mission. Jason, we have students now that have choices. They can go anywhere to go to university. So we have students that receive scholarships. They can go online and go to and learn at a for-profit university, which is fine, But what differentiates UOG from the others is this land grant mission, and so I really want to stress that. And by the way, that started back in the 1860s with Abe Lincoln, who wanted to see some development in the rural areas, and that's why they were granted land, and they were tasked to develop skilled farmers and teachers and engineers, et cetera.
I think that's the three things that, as a proud UOG grad myself, that everyone is instilled from the moment you set foot on the campus as a freshman. They're like, we're not just going here to collect your tuition and teach you a bunch of theoretical stuff. You will succeed. You will lead by example and by the volume of knowledge you will accrue here. But you will also give back to your community.
Right, and that's something that's been since my time, the time that I spent there, by Dr. Underwood and also Dr. Kreis. They're really big on this, and so that's an area where I'd like to place the focus is on serving our community. We have fantastic faculty. Our faculty members, you've worked with them, you know them, both in business and public admin, and I think they're ready to do even more great things that were initiated by Dr. Anita Enriquez and
absolutely
Dr. Santos.
So let me ask you, Fred, because even though you said there's so many different choices and so many different methods of education, higher education that young people could aspire to right now, there's, I guess, even a little bit of internal competition, because when a young person sets foot again, like at UOG, and if they don't have their career path at least mentally charted out, they could go into nursing, they could go into teaching, they could do any number of academic endeavors and everything. Why should incoming Tritons consider SPBA and give a proper business and public administration education? Why should they give that a look?
Well, I want students to go into an area that they know they enjoy. Oftentimes people are kind of convinced to go into an area that may not be what they're passionate about. Fortunately, we have a lot of students. We have many students that want a career in business or in government. So that's a good reason to join us at SBPA. And by the way, we have the largest number of graduates from the university, as you know.
We finally passed College of Education, because for so many years it was always College of Ed and SPBA, neck and neck.
But I encourage students to take classes outside of our school, because the broader exposure you have to the subjects out there, then you're better able to make decisions. You're better able to adapt. And I always mention this to students in my class. My fourth grade teacher, Ms. Dorman, she said, the more you know you don't know. Right?
Very true.
Right? The more you learn, the more you know that you can't know everything, but you should go in the direction that you want to go, because you just can't know everything. Right?
I think Socrates kind of said the same thing. He goes, the greatest validation of my intellect is I know I don't know enough.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely true. So speaking of your pedigree again, Fred, you've got such a diverse background, and you've led very, very large institutions, and you've helped out in various ways to the island. What about that training do you bring to the table as far as being able to lead SPBA and kind of set that vision? Because Dr. Kreis may bring you in one time and just be like, okay, Dr. Schumann, where do you think we should go?
Right. Well, I think it helps to have some experience for this type of position, to have some experience in administration, and in business. I've had some a number of years working in an executive role, So that's helpful. Also, working in the private sector, I think has been a plus for me, and I hope that we're able to bring more partnerships together. I've got to mention this. We just recently signed a sponsorship deal with Bank of Guam. They've committed to 5 years of sponsoring our Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
Excellent.
Right,
That's
entrepreneurship and innovation, right. So the things that we want to do, for example, and I think you'll get a kick out of this, Jason. I remember you're an entrepreneur yourself. You're an innovator. You're an early adopter. You were the first to have the Google glasses.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you were the first person I ever saw that was using that. And so here's an example of the type of things we want to do. We're talking with Dr. Chen over at the College of Natural CNAS, Natural Sciences and Agriculture. We want to do some training for farmers. There's a sustainable tropical agriculture project where we use virtual reality equipment.
I heard about that this past weekend. Somebody was telling me about that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right. So we're working with CNAS, and we'd like to have a School of Business involved, and to encourage people for sustainable tropical agriculture, to teach people how to do things first with using virtual reality, and then eventually going out and doing the real thing. And I joked around with
without damaging a whole season's worth of crops first, while you get your green thumb. Yeah.
Right. So they learn how to do things far more efficiently in a tropical environment, using human resources or water or whatever. And I was joking with Dr. Chen that we're probably going to have some heat lamps in the room, to get people used to the heat. But this is such a great project where we're bringing innovation and service, and we're putting it all together. If we encourage farmers, we address many issues that we face, like workforce development, food security. Look at the rising cost of food.
Yep, food
on the island.
That's also something that I think is wonderful, and I'm seeing a little bit more of these days at UOG, is multidisciplinary collaboration.
Right.
So you see the colleges start to work together, because when I went there, in the 90s, it was all the business majors. We stayed in the A building, the College of Ed. All the teaching candidates. They had their own school and everything like that, and rarely shall the twain meet. But that's wonderful. You guys are all putting your heads together.
Right. Yeah, we call that working across campus with the other schools.
You get a good workout too, going from
that's
college
right.
to college.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So just as another example, and again, agriculture is mentioned here again, is that we're working on a project with agriculture to find out what people are willing to pay for locally produced products, produce. So that's a much needed research.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and industry is going to enjoy that so much more, and probably have this huge demand for it. And they say, we need these numbers and we need this data that, we could, go with, hairs on the back of our neck, or just, gut intuition, or, we've always done it this way. But if we could actually take this from an academic, objective standpoint and everything like that, that's the kind of thing that transforms industry.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So we like to say we're the honest broker. We're the ones that will produce the data so that we can make decisions for our future.
Okay, Fred, before I let you go, we got about a minute left. So let me just get, not necessarily Fred Schuman, the new Dr. Fred Schuman, pardon me, the new dean of the School of Public Administration. Just as Fred, right? Fred, Fred the Guamanian. What is having this job now and being able to sit in that seat mean to you personally? It's very, very, very lofty responsibilities, but like I said, right man for the right job. What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? Well, it's an opportunity for me to do a little bit more, have more of an impact to help our community. I'd like to do whatever I can. When I was in tourism before, and I always talked about tourism to improve the quality of life of residents. And that's really what I'd like to see us do, work a little harder to improve the quality of life of our residents.
Very good. Well, Dr. Fred Schuman, the new dean of the School of Public Administration, from class of '96, and all of my classmates, we're very, very proud of you. And you've been a family friend of me and my mom and my sister, and my late father for many, many years. And we could not be prouder. It's really, really good news.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, thanks for giving us some of your time. All right, that's Dr. Fred Schuman, and we will be right back. We are talking about the weather with Landon Idlet with the National Weather Service. What is up with the rain recently? We're going to find out right after this.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Half a day. I'm Fiona from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The governor's child care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the governor's child care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
It's Feed Me Fridays on KUAM News Hotspot. Good eats, good company, and beyond good chow. With Team KUAM checking out Guam's most tantalizing, tempting menu items every Friday on KUAM News Hotspot or stream online. Brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world, tips to take care of your health and your wallet, and up-to-the-minute local news. NBC News Daily, weekdays on NBC.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture on The Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platform and the KUAM News Weekend Edition. Brought to you by Tropical Ice.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world, tips to take care of your health and your wallet, and up-to-the-minute local news. NBC News Daily, weekdays on NBC.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Everyone has been wondering what is up with the weather lately. We've been having rain. It gets really, really hot. We've been having these weird, flooding advisories and everything like that. So I am bringing in the experts, plural. I got a bonus for you today. We not only bring in our buddy Landon Idlet from the National Weather Service Guam chapter, we're also bringing in a new friend to the program, Jane Marie Wick. She is in Jackson, Kentucky, right, Jane?
That is right. Far Eastern Kentucky in the Appalachians.
There you okay. Oh, you know what? First of all, congratulations to Appalachian State. A tremendous Hail Mary victory. I don't know if you were watching the game yesterday. Of course, you are wearing UK blue, so go Cats. But blue seems to be kind of like the operative word there, because even though I guess rain maybe is neutral color, we are getting a lot of the wet stuff like recently. We're getting these flooding advisories. We've actually been Landon getting reports of actual flooding in the central areas, kind of like all of the usual suspects. So we'll bring in Jane because she is an expert in flooding, what causes it, also possibly we'll get into flood mitigation. But how much more of this stuff can we expect over the next couple of days?
Yeah, we're definitely looking at these wet conditions to continue at least another couple of days, at least for the next 24 to 36 hours. We have several features that have been generating this wet weather since really yesterday, continuing through today and then on through tonight and tomorrow morning. That's going to continue. Then it's going to dry up just a little bit, probably Tuesday night, Wednesday, but then we could have another disturbance come through with more showers later in this week. But this is very seasonal. I'm looking at some of the rainfall totals that we've had from previous years. think back to September 2019. That was September 15th, 2019. I'm going to turn my camera around just a quick bit. This is some of the flooding that happened 3 years ago on September 15th. Remember back in Tumon Bay area, right there through Pleasure Island, all flooded. This is from an 8-inch rainfall that came down on September 15th, 2019. And so most of the island felt these heavy rains back then. So it's very seasonal. Also, September 10th, 2018, we had just shy of 10 inches rainfall here at the office. And do you remember what that was, September 10th, 2018? Pop quiz, Jason.
September 10th, 2018.
Yes.
I'm drawing a blank, man.
Yeah, that was Typhoon Mangkhut.
Oh, okay.
Making its way through the region. So we had about 15 inches rainfall over a 2-day period.
That's the day that Avengers Endgame got released in the theater, but no, I was way off.
Yeah. So, yeah, very seasonal. I think there was another date that it's not, I think it might be coming right up on its anniversary, but back in 2013, most of the island saw 12 to 15 inches of rainfall on another day with a weak tropical disturbance pushing through. This is the Barcenas housing area back in 2019. You're seeing on the screen, just indicative of the flooding potential that happens down south when we have these heavy showers. And that's what we've been seeing the last several days. And so any additional heavy rainfall that we have come our way will go quickly to runoff because the grounds are saturated right now. And of course, Jane also on camera, I pulled her up with me. She's my counterpart at the Jackson, Kentucky Weather Forecast Office. And we just met, I believe it was last month, in a training course in Kansas City, one of my many trips over the summer. And so I'll let her talk about flooding because she is no stranger to flooding after this summer, numerous rain events causing a lot of problems. But right now the radar is pretty quiet. We're in a kind of a midday slumber on the radar. Nothing much happening, maybe a few sprinkles, a couple drips here and there. But farther to our south, there's a lot more wet weather that's gradually trying to make its way into our area. And so we had a lot of showers coming in from the northwest and also bouncing around the island this morning and pulsing through the CNMI. So we had a number of flash flood advisories in effect for several islands, including Guam, early this morning. Most of that has fizzled out, but we're mostly concerned about all of the stuff down to our south. And so we get these little shower cells, even though they may be small in coverage, it's those rainfall rates that we're going to be very concerned about. And right now we're not seeing too much as far as those, let me pull up the rainfall rates right here. Nothing too much to speak of right now, but we do have a couple of hotspots well to our south. So once we start seeing these areas with rainfall rates of 3 or 4 inches per hour, that's where we're going to see those problems. Right now, that's far from the island at this point, but watch out for this afternoon. We could see things start heating up across the area as this broader band of convection approaches. On the satellite, nothing to speak of, at least in Eastern Micronesia. This is the small islands and atoll of Kapinga Marangi, where they are the only drought area of concern right now. They are at moderate drought, well south of us near the equator, but farther north, that's where all the weather is. And so we're zooming over Eastern Micronesia, Central Micronesia, and here we are in the Mariana Islands. Just a soupy pattern. That's what we've been dealing with for feels like forever, really, about 1 to 2 weeks. We've had several tropical cyclones pass through the northern islands and zip off towards Japan. No invest areas, no suspect areas for development at this time, with Nanmadol over Japan being the only tropical system that the Joint Typhoon Warning Center is watching, and no other active areas in our region. But we are watching this monsoonal flow over well to our west. That's going to be lifting on away from us with Nanmadol's gaining in latitude. We're watching this upper level low. This is circulation, upper atmospheric circulation. It's helping to induce some of the showers and thunderstorms over our region, but otherwise it's just an upper level feature. And then we have this surface trough that's going to be lifting northward over our area in the next 12 to 24 hours. And that's what's going to give us the biggest potential for showers coming up over the next 12 to 24 hours.
So let's go ahead and bring Jane now for her expertise and her insight. Jane, I would love your take because I'm not sure how much Landon has indoctrinated you into kind of like the layout of Guam right now. But as you can hear from what he was brilliantly saying is the southern end of the island here, we're a 30-mile long by 7-mile wide territory. And the southern end of the island is more mountainous, kind of like not unlike what you have in the Appalachians and everything. But there is where when we always get like heavy rainfall, and Landon and his crew put out these flood advisories and everything, it's always our friends and our family like down south that really have a cause for concern.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we deal with as well. As far as flooding, I'm probably more the expert on the flash flooding, and that's probably what you all deal with as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that if you get rain over a surface, everybody gets the same amount of rain. But when you get rain over a mountainous surface, all of the rain in the mountains is also going down to the valley. So you're tripling, quadrupling, sometimes 10 times as much rain as what they would have got if it was a flat surface. So if you take a lot of the times, most of the people also live in these valleys and in these floodplains because that is where the flat land is. That is the cheapest place to build. A lot of our towns here in Appalachia, they're all in the floodplain. So if you have a lot of water coming down these mountains, they're hitting these tiny little creeks. And I don't know about your all's area, how much water these little creeks can hold, but a lot of times in our area, they're usually running about 6 inches deep. And so our big impact we had, I don't know if you all have heard about it, was a couple weeks ago, or sorry, about a month ago now. We had a massive rain event in Eastern Kentucky. And I'm actually going to share my screen here too. Oh, no, I'm not. But yeah, so we had a massive event where we ended up with 10 to 12 inches, in some places 14 to 16 inches, most of that falling in about less than a 24-hour period. So if you can imagine, I think, did you bring that up there, Landon, the map? Okay, so if you can imagine.
Looking right at Jackson.
There you go. Okay. So all of that where he is showing is mountains, and about where that red dot is and just south got 10 to 14, in some places 16 inches of rain in 24 hours. And like Landon said, we were primed. We were already wet. We couldn't hold any more water. It was all runoff. So all that 14 to 16 inches all went into these tiny little creeks and these tiny little streams. And it caused a wall of water that was rising about 2 feet every 15 minutes. So it was pretty devastating. It looked like tornadoes had gone through, and I'm sure similar in your all's area as well. But that's something we deal a lot with in the mountains, is the flash flooding, but never to that extent. I think that's probably hopefully the worst I will ever see. But yeah, it's just kind of the name of the game in the mountains, because you're just multiplying the amount of rain because it's all washing down into those valleys. And like I said, unfortunately, that's where a lot of people live. That's where a lot of our infrastructure is, and that's where a lot of the impacts are.
Jane, you know, we're in an interesting position here because being on an island, like you said, when a lot of the rain will flow, you know, down from the mountains or the ranges, if you will. Of course, it flows out to the sea because, you know, you don't have to go too far here on the island until, you know, you get to the ocean. Different situation for you being so much inland. So as far as you mentioned infrastructure, what types of feats of engineering or even like human efforts do you have that when you get those flash floodings and, you know, water levels do rise to dangerous levels, what technical systems do you have and what human effort do you have to try and mitigate that?
The answer is not enough. We unfortunately are used to it. So they try, if like a bridge goes out, they try to build a better bridge, a higher bridge. But a lot of times, a lot of these bridges are not publicly owned. Some of them are privately owned bridges. Sometimes there's just not enough funding and they just need to get the bridge fixed. And so they just come up with the fix, and then until the next flood wipes it back out again. So unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of technological changes or infrastructure changes. On the flip side of that, we do end up seeing a lot of grant money come in a lot of time from like Army Corps of Engineers, and they will try for, especially in towns that are right along a river, where they're more flood prone, because a lot of our rivers, it's the headwater, so they're not as big of a river as you think, like the Mississippi or the Ohio River. Like, they're not big rivers, they're tiny little rivers at that point that lead into the Ohio. So they've built flood walls around some towns. They put floodgates in, but when we get these events like where you have this massive amount of rain in a short period of time and it causes the flash flooding, the flash flooding is where we still have issues, because it just depends on where that rain falls and the infrastructure just isn't there to hold it. And then once we get more into the river flooding, that's where the cities themselves can kind of work with, like I said, Army Corps of Engineers to develop more mitigation for more expansive flooding.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jane, again, for your insight into this. And you know, if you're like me and you grew up on the island, or you're like Landon, you're a transplant, but you've been here for a while, you see these things, you know, numerous times over the years, and you always kind of have an idea of when it's going to happen, when it gets, you know, abnormally bad and dangerous. and hopefully, you know, like by the grace of God, you know, it doesn't get too bad and everything like that. But we appreciate the fact that we can network with, you know, learned professionals like you and learn about, you know, how these things are being handled, and maybe even share some of our own ideas and experience those, so that you find folks over there in the bluegrass state, you know, can hopefully not have to deal with what you guys have dealt with recently.
Yeah, I hope to never see it again. Like I said, I thank Landon for inviting me to this. But yeah, the good thing about Guam, hopefully, is that it will be a flash in the sense it's quick up and then it goes to the sea. It's quick down. But yeah, it's no matter what, doesn't matter where it occurs, Kentucky or Guam, it's still dangerous, and it's still an unfortunate event.
All right. Well, there unfortunately there is no Richter scale for how scary something can get. And, you know, like, we're all just human beings, and if the water rises and everything like that, I don't care, you know, how tough you think you are and everything like that. That's going to put the fear of God in you. So we got to run because it is lunchtime here, and we are running out of time. So Jane Marie Wicks with the National Weather Service in Jackson, Kentucky, and of course Landon Idlet way over there in Teton. I'm gonna do lunch with Landon later on this week, so Jane, you're free to join us on Zoom, and we can indoctrinate you and custom you some island barbecue.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That sounds great.
Well, by the way, Jane, get Landon talking about like barbecue sauce and everything, and prepare to spend the rest of the afternoon on Zoom, because he will talk your ear off about some good barbecue. He's been all over the place. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
Jason.
Absolutely. And thank you for watching, Guam. We are out of time. We will see you tomorrow. I'm Jason Salas. Bye-bye. This has been The Hotspot.